Welcome to this week's Quick Charge. In Joshua 6:25, the Bible says that Joshua saved Rahab the harlot and all that she had because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. When Rahab received those messengers, they gave her an instruction. And they said, when we come into the land, you shall tie this scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. And so the Bible says she tied the red rope in the window. The window is always the hard part. It's the stumbling block. It tends to be the problem. It's where we're tempted to interpret and surmise and assume and judge, looking out your window and seeing nothing. Are they really coming back? Will they remember? Is it too late? Of course, looking out and seeing an army marching that never says anything, no signals to her whatsoever. You see, God wanted to have her to have something to hold on to focus on while she was waiting. Something that would get in the way of her normal vision and focus. She certainly couldn't miss something that would be hanging in the window, especially a bright red rope. And it must have been tough when the walls of the city and her house began to collapse around her, because her house was on the city wall and it would have been one of the first to crumble. The word that's used for rope or cord, in most of the Old Testament, it's translated hope rather than rope. In Jeremiah 29, it's used and translated as your expected end, or your hope and your future. Something that you're waiting for. God's messenger and God's promise would be of no profit at all if I don't hold on to it. And so I must hold on to what I've hidden. God's promise is hope does not lead to shame. It doesn't lead to reproach or futility. It's not a dead end. I have to stand in hope, in worship, and pray, and speak, and walk, and live, and see, and occupy, and remain in that hope. I mustn't lose sight of the red rope of hope. Also, you have to wonder why God would have required every one of those warriors in Israel to march for 7 days around that wall, the same way, every day, the same view, the same scenery, for 7 straight days, non-stop. Perhaps it might have been so that they would have time to memorize every inch of the wall, and that they would all know right where her house was. Surely they would have been instructed to remember where the bright red rope was. God has promises to me, and He has words for me and over me, and they're all memorized. His angelic warriors and those who work on my behalf, they have it memorized. He knows where I am. He knows where my house is. He knows where I lodge. He knows where I am, and He knows where I am camped out in hope, because it's marked in red. So nothing gets lost, nothing gets overlooked, and nothing gets forgotten. Hope in God is like a rope that we hold on to, that we refuse to let go of, that we bind around our hearts, our minds, and our remembrance. That rope was a lifesaver for her. So where's your hope? Is it squarely in view? Is it primary in your line of sight? Do you have your bright red rope of hope in your window? Well, if not, pick it up again, because God's promises to you have not been forgotten, because they're marked in red. Join me next week for another quick charge. God bless.